Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Channel name is Both Own Teslas, and my name is Jacob. This is my 2020 Tesla Model X long-range all-wheel drive. I've had this vehicle for about 3 months now, 2 or 3 months. It's by far been my favorite vehicle I've ever driven. It is absolutely insane. Every time I get in it, I'm blown away by the acceleration, handling, all that kind of stuff for a smaller SUV, just how well it performs. But I've had a few people reach out to me, so I wanted to make a video about it, just going through the used buying process of this vehicle and kind of give you all some tips and tricks of a couple different things to watch out for if you are in the market for a used Model X. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the number one thing that I would look out for is the charge port. On a lot of these Model X's, it's been addressed with most of the newer ones, but especially with some of the older ones, this charging port can kind of get stuck. As you can see there, it gets hung up, and then when I try to put it back, it gets stuck just like that. I kind of have to finagle it and wiggle it to get it into that spot. I'm sure I've looked up the fix, and you basically have to get a whole new unit. So I haven't taken the time to do that yet, but definitely look out for this if you're in the market for a used Model X. The second thing on my list to look out for when buying a used Model X is the door panel alignment. There's been a lot of issues here. I know a lot of people have had that problem, but as you can see on my vehicle, definitely some panel alignment issues with the door handles. As you can see, it kind of stems to the back as well as up to here on the rear mirror. So definitely look out for that. Just this kind of just ties into any panel gap issues as well. As you can see right here, it's a little worse than the other side as well. So definitely with any Tesla, they've gotten better, but definitely panel gap issues, and specifically in the Model X, the door alignment issue. But also be careful, because I've read people getting this fixed and then their Falcon wing doors don't work the same, or they're not aligned properly. So I've read some people have said online to honestly just keep it how it is unless it's really bad, because it can cause further issues. All right, the next thing here should be the most obvious, but it's the Falcon wing doors. When you're going to look at a used Model X, test the Falcon wing doors multiple times, opening and closing. Make sure they close properly, open properly. There's sensors all around those doors, and if any of those are messed up, you're gonna have to get the whole thing replaced. So definitely take the time to open both of them and make sure that both of them open and that both of them close properly without any issue, because that one can be extremely expensive. Another thing to look out for that people don't always talk about, but it's actually common on a lot of Teslas, is condensation in the taillights. This one actually has a little bit right now, but usually if I wash my car or it rains, there will be condensation in the taillight. Part of the design on this vehicle, I don't know why it's designed this way, but there is supposed to be a little bit of condensation in there. Mine goes away within a day, but it's obviously an issue if it stays in there longer than that. So definitely look at both taillights. Maybe ask if you can have a cup of water or something, pour it in there, and make sure there's no condensation in there, because that can damage the taillight, and that is not a cheap fix. So definitely look out for condensation in the taillights. Another big one here, guys, and I'm sure this is probably the one you've maybe read about the most, is tire wear. On a lot of these Model X's with just the weight distribution, and I know like the BMW X5, all that kind of stuff, they have a similar weight, but people are used to comparing this to, like a RAV4, something like this. Something with more weight that can accelerate fast. I mean, the tires are going to wear faster. That's just part of it. I know sometimes it is an actual issue though. On my vehicle, luckily, knock on tires, it's not been an issue. But also, for a lot of the people's issues, it's just because they have a lead foot and they're accelerating extremely, extremely quick. But these tires have been on this vehicle for 20,000 miles. And I mean, they look like they could still go another 20, 30,000 miles. But I do drive in chill mode a lot. So I think that's a big thing is people, you know, especially in the plaid models, kind of that instant torque and everything that is obviously going to eat away at your tires. So just keep in mind that tires are going to be more expensive on this vehicle than any other, you know, mid-size SUV in this class, but definitely even more so if you kind of run through the tires and you do have a lead foot. So definitely keep that in mind. While we're on the topic of tires, let's talk about the half shafts inside. That's a huge issue with the Model X's. It's somewhat been addressed in the Raven models, which started in late 2019. But if you go to turn these tires and you're not in reverse park, and even more so sometimes it's if you have a worst case scenario, it's when you're driving as well. But if you go to turn your steering wheel and the tire turns, you'll just hear this kind of cranking noise on your half shafts. It's primarily on the front of the vehicle. Obviously the back tires don't turn and everything, but they do. All of them still have half shafts, but these half shafts, they can get rusted and old. Sometimes you can actually put some grease on them and that will cause them not to cause that noise. But the half shafts on this vehicle and on all Model X's to date, they do go bad after a while, and they are not too cheap to replace. I think they're about $500 a pop. So definitely, you know, when you're looking at a used Model X, definitely turn that steering wheel and really try to put pressure on those half shafts and see if it's making that kind of squeaking noise. Moving on to the inside, there's really only one huge issue on the inside that's like an extremely reoccurring issue, and it has to do with this touch panel interface here, this 17-inch vertical screen. This is primarily on 2016 to 2019 models before the Raven models came out in late 2019. But sometimes you get a lot of people have had this issue early on, but starting to get yellowing around the corners of this touchscreen interface. Eventually that yellowing eats into the screen fully and it will just take over your entire screen. And I can promise you that these screens are not cheap. So if you are looking at an older model, any model, really keep an eye out for it. But a 2016 to 2019 model, really take a look at this screen and make sure there's no yellowing occurring around the sides of the screen. So that's another big one. Another one I'm going to talk to you all about on the interior is the AC unit. Model X, again, reoccurring theme, has gotten better over time, but the air conditioning in the Model X has been known to have issues, and it can be $3 to $4 grand to replace if you need like an entire replacement of the HVAC unit. So definitely keep an eye. Use the air when you're going to test drive the Model X. Blast that air on full. Make sure there's no clicking. A lot of the times you can hear clicking or sound like little bugs are in your AC unit. That's a good sign that they're probably going out. If it's not making any noise, it's not as cold. It's just not as cold as you would expect it to be. It could just be the cabin air filter or the HEPA filter up front. So check those as well. I know that one's not as easy because the filters in these vehicles are harder to get to. But if you're really concerned about it, definitely talk to the person that you are buying the vehicle from and see if they're able to take a look at that air filter for you, because that can be a big one as well. I know my wife's Model Y, when we test drove hers, the air, was cranking on. It was somewhat cold, but not what you would expect the coldest air to be. So we ended up purchasing it because I know with the Model Y, it's oftentimes the air filter. I replaced her cabin air filter, and the air, I mean, it was disgusting. Also cleaned out the radiator, replaced the cabin air filter, and now her air works like the best of any vehicle I've ever driven. So that could be it as well. But if there's clicking noise, you notice something out of the ordinary, I would definitely avoid it unless they're willing to replace that AC system. All right, last thing I'm going to show you guys in regards to buying a used Tesla Model X is going to be the suspension. Seen a lot of people say they've had issues with this as well. When you get in here, play around with the suspension. It's lowering right now, or raising right now. I didn't know if you can hear that, but play around with the suspension. Bring it to very, very low, very high. Drive on each of these settings as well and make sure that the car is actually adjusting. It's not making a creaking or croaking noise when it lowers or raises. And make sure that it drives properly on all of these ride heights with your suspension. If you click it, you can get out of the car and see the vehicle adjusting to the ride heights. Definitely make sure you check the suspension because that one is not cheap either. And with all that being said, guys, thank you for sticking around for this video. Like I said, I've got a lot of requests regarding this topic, especially on the Model X's. If y'all are interested, I can do another one on my wife's Model Y. Just kind of some stuff to look out for. But yeah, wanted to make a video here on the Model X because I do love it. It is a unicorn, unique car. It's going to have some weird kind of quirky issues, but if that's the type of vehicle you like, that's the type of vehicle I like. I like weird quirky stuff, then this vehicle is definitely the one for you. If you just want something nice, reliable, not gonna have to worry about anything going wrong, I would opt for the Model 3 or the Model Y. But yeah, again, just wanted to kind of give you all some pointers and stuff that I've experienced and read about in my own decision making. So if y'all can like and subscribe to the channel, it really does help out. And I will catch all of you all in the next video.